And meanwhile, violence continues to torment as well. The world of music.
Singer Oscar Maidon canceled his concert at the San Marcos Fair. Natanael Cano, Tito Torbellino Jr., and Javier Rosas. Featherweight was threatened.
Since featherweight, Natanael Cano, Gavito Ballesteros, and Fuerza Régida, among others, dominated the popularity charts. No other exponent of Mexican music has represented a real threat to the most representative figures of the tumbados corridos, a subgenre of regional Mexican. But these renowned artists have been threatened by the most dangerous groups in Mexico who have had them in their sights for some time, tarnishing their glory with threats, ready to eliminate them and stand in their way, showing that the success they carry could fade as quickly as a shooting star. But which are the singers and musical groups that have been pierced by violence and organized crime? Well, let me tell you about it in this video, and let's start with Natanael Cano.
They threatened to kill the corridos tumbado singer, Natanael Cano, along with some of his colleagues from regional music.
End of the year 2025. Threatening messages were found on the facades of several schools in Sonora. These spray-painted messages mentioned Natanael Cano, a musical artist from Hermosillo and one of the most recognized exponents of the tumbados corridos genre. The threats were also directed at other artists such as Tito Torbellino Jr. and Javier Rosas, as well as musical groups from cities like Guaymas, Ciudad Obregón, and Navojoa.
In the message, the Los Matasalas criminal group directly accused the performer of Mi Belo Angel, Tito Torbellino Jr., Javier Rosas, as well as several local musicians and other influencers.
But the question here is, was Natanael Cano being threatened with death because of the controversial lyrics of his songs? Well, some of Nata's songs have generated controversy due to their content related to organized crime, for example, CH and the Pizza. A collaboration with Fuerza Régida, which mentions the well-known narco Joaquin Guzman Loera, alias El Chapo, who was the leader of the Sinaloa cartel. He also wrote PCR, a collaboration with Peso Pluma, where verses are included that refer to the trafficking of illicit substances. Like, for example, I'm always ready to cross powder, wheels, and also crystal. Another topic is Cuerno Azulado, where elements associated with narco are mentioned from the first minutes or songs like Toro Encartado, Carnal, or Low Low. There's also the Karma Primo and the F. These contain similar references to themes related to the world of narco.
More, they warned that if they continued with this alleged collaboration, they would face serious consequences.
However, it seems that Nata is not just a serial flatterer of the feats of drug traffickers, to put it in some way. The message discovered in Hermosillo stresses that the threats are unrelated to the composition of narco-corridos. In reality, the accusations focus on the alleged active collaboration of this singer with the rival group. Well, these warnings have been attributed to a criminal group that seeks to establish its presence in the area. This after an explosion of violence in Sinaloa and other northern states of Mexico. After the kidnapping and detention of the boss Ismael El Mayo Zambada triggered a total war between rival factions of the Sinaloa cartel, including the one that allegedly threatened the singer. And besides, the banner was signed by Jalisco Matasalas, a group linked to a faction of the Sinaloa cartel known as Los Chapitos. They have sown terror in northern Mexico in recent months. You've probably heard this already. The graffiti in turn contained explicit messages like the phrase, "We're here, Jalisco kills. Salas greets you." The cartel accused the singer of financially supporting and politically backing a rival group known as Los Salazares, a direct enemy of the Capitos in the fight for control of the region.
The Salazars are also involved in planting, producing, and smuggling drugs into the United States. They have caused an escalation of violence in Sonora and Chihuahua.
At the end of the message, they warned him that if these actions do not cease, he will face severe repercussions.
Stick to what you do, which is the profession of being musicians. If you do not heed this warning, you will be shot.
What other jobs do you know have been done by your Matasales allies?
Well, all the deaths that we intimately experienced from 3, 4, 5 months to date, all the deaths, even of innocent people, kidnapped young girls.
After these warnings, Nata decided to speak out on social networks with a series of stories on Instagram that she later deleted. However, the screenshots were rescued and shared by netizens in X, generating even more controversy. The artist's statements made it clear that he considers himself an ordinary civilian and that the accusations against him could be a smokescreen. To divert attention from other issues, the singer wrote the following in his first Instagram story:
I am irrelevant. I am an ordinary civilian. Don't be fooled. They want to make you look one way to cover the other, but there are always two sides to the coin. My people, are there not more important things than a 23-year-old? Cheer up and blessings. May God bless us all. Even in Up Sonora, land of the greats.
In turn, some followers of the artist assure that he is simply trying to distance himself from the controversy. Others believe that his words could also be a way to minimize the impact of the serious accusations against him. Then, in a second story, the performer of Amor Tumbado directly addressed his work as a singer and the way he chooses to carry his musical career.
I do get paid. I sing here and in China, and I don't go around asking who or what they are. It's my job, and I'm proud of it.
While true, it doesn't exclude his association with such people.
Although it's legally prohibited, the Tumbados corrido singer, Natanael Cano, didn't care much about performing 30 narco corridos.
This statement has further fueled the controversy, as some social media users interpret it as him not caring about who he performs for, as long as he gets paid his share. However, others defend him, arguing that it's a way of saying that his job is just to entertain and not to get involved with organized crime conflicts.
The influencer Marquitos Toys caused a great stir on social networks after he posted a picture where he is seen with Natanael Cano posing in a luxury car in France.
Sadly, Natanael Cano is no stranger to this kind of threat. Since at the beginning of January, a banner had been located in Hermosillo with similar messages against him. In it, just like in the other banner, they accused him and other musicians of collaborating with the random ones. Shortly after, in an ironic reaction, Cano posted on Instagram a picture of blankets with his face on them, implying that those were the only little blankets he was concerned about. However, the story was deleted minutes later. It
posted a picture of 2 blankets printed with his face, accompanied by the caption, "The only little blankets that concern me right now." Along with a defiantly laughing emoji, he added in parentheses, "Will they warm up?"
But was Nata afraid of the narcos' response? I tell you this because a message like this, loaded with mockery and underestimating the power of the cartels, could be taken as an unforgivable insult that could lead to him being killed. However, internet users showed no mercy in exposing his words in screenshots that began to circulate quickly throughout the internet. In response to these threats, the Criminal Investigation Agency of the Sonora Prosecutor's Office confirmed that the banners were specifically directed at certain exponents of the corridos tumbados genre and that security measures were being taken to protect them. Either way, all those mentioned, including Nata, had their own private security. On the other hand, Alan De La Rosa, spokesperson for the prosecutor's office, told the press that state protection was offered to the artist to prevent an attack. Regarding the direct threats that appear on this banner, he did not detail, of course, what this protection consists of. And Cano's communication team did not respond either. But could it be that Natanael Cano's days are numbered? Well, we will have to wait for a response from the leaders of the drug traffickers. Hopefully it won't be like that.
Grupo Firme trended on social media after allegedly receiving threats from organized crime to cancel shows at the Mazatlan Carnival.
In early March, Grupo Firme was going to participate in the world-famous Mazatlan Carnival. However, they had to back out at the last minute after the following threat that chilled their blood.
If you play at the Mazatlan Carnival, we're going to kill you all. Remember, you live in Tijuana. Even the one who puts up the lights, we're going to kill you all.
A banner was discovered on a vehicular bridge in the La Gloria neighborhood in Tijuana.
The message appeared in Tijuana's La Gloria neighborhood. But unlike the warnings, words were not enough for Natanael Cano because next to the banner was a cooler with a human head. And with this disturbing message, the criminals were warning the members of Grupo Firme that their heads could roll in the same way if they set foot in the event. Edwin Cass, the vocalist of the group, broke the silence about the threat and said the following from his Instagram account.
The tour remains unchanged. I didn't cancel due to poor ticket sales. Everything was sold out, thankfully. But I also don't want to put my co-workers at risk. to the one of the likes who was very mentioned. Even if you mock, here the team didn't feel the same.
A security operation that is commanded by the federal forces, but the Army, the National Guard, the Navy are participating. Subsequently, he urged those who would attend the carnival to be careful of the growing insecurity, and he made a reproach to the government, accusing it of implementing protection measures, only for the festival, mainly aimed at foreign tourists. Meanwhile, they ignore ordinary citizens who face the threats of organized crime on a daily basis. Finally, he apologized on behalf of the group and expressed his intention to present a musical show in the future. Edwin K's stance was added to the statement he released with Grupo Firme regarding the cancellation of the show.
The well-being of those who have accompanied us on this journey, our family, which is you, our fans, is and will always be the most important thing. We hope to meet again soon to sing, celebrate, and continue making history together.
A whole series of strategies and a robust operation have been implemented precisely to guarantee safety conditions in
the town. The Mazatlan Carnival continues despite recent events, and the prime time of the Mexican regional group will be covered by none other than the Aguilar, who have the protection of the police forces. As additional information, there are very few people, there are many military, but people are not going because of fear. But why was Grupo Firme under the scrutiny of drug traffickers? That's the key question. Then in June 2023, former President Andrés Manuel López Obrador cited them as an example of regional music that young people should listen to, asserting that they did not perform songs related to organized crime. However, you and I both know that this is not true. Despite the image that Grupo Firme projects on stage, their repertoire includes several narco corridos. Songs like Se Fue la Pantera and El Ratón. Do they contradict this perception of the group or of a role model for the younger ones?
Finding references in some odes to the members of the Sinaloa Cartel.
Edwin Cas has also been criticized on multiple occasions for performing these types of corridos, especially when he sang El Ratón, a theme associated with Ovidio Guzman, son of Joaquín El Chapo Guzman. At that time, many pointed him out for glorifying drug trafficking, and apparently, this narco corrido enraged the enemies of El Chapo and his sons. On the other hand, what started as an isolated phenomenon has now become a constant. If an artist is targeted by a criminal group, their representation is in danger. And not only their safety is at stake, but also that of their team, their fans, and even the event organizers. Because they decide who can get on stage and who cannot. Those who have the courage to ignore their threats run the risk of paying for their rebellion with their own lives.
That same year, the group Fuerza Régida was also threatened with death.
Fuerza Régida has become one of the favorite groups of the regional Mexican genre for fans who enjoy this rhythm. The group, originally from California in the United States, has harvested multiple musical successes and has become one of the most recognized groups of the musical genre. However, controversy has not been absent in the career of this narco group of rigid force. And it is that in April of the year 2024, they were the target of a warning from an organized crime group, which led him to cancel a concert scheduled for April 19th of the year 2024 in Cancun, Quintana Roo.
The perpetrators, who allegedly were part of the Sinaloa Cartel, also used banners hung in the region 102, and they also used banners hung in the region 102 and 228, both of Benito Juarez, both in the Benito Juarez municipality.
Threats were made at different points in this city of Quintana Roo against the group not to perform in Cancun. The narcomantas were signed with the initials Cartel de Sinaloa, which, as you know, correspond to the Sinaloa Cartel. And this was not the first case in which Fuerza Régida was involved in threats of this kind. Previously, they were warned in the context of their presentation in Tijuana, Baja California. On that occasion, the authors would have been members of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. But that wasn't all, because on August 29, 2023, the security team of the group was attacked with gunfire on the Puebla-Orizaba highway, in which one of the bodyguards, identified as Jorge N., unfortunately he lost his life inside a suburban van. This happened exactly when they were heading to Mexico City after having been in Cancun. The multiple warnings to the group were due to the narco corridos in their repertoire, such as the collaboration La Que Te Platicaba from CH and PISA with Natanael Cano. And with this, we now move on to another narco group, a risky group. With a fusion of the traditional northern style with the tumbado, the group has gradually managed to make its way in the music industry in northwest Mexico. Group integrated and led by Arturo Gonzalez. El Panther, the Mexican regional group, is originally from Costa Rica, Sinaloa, and it was in November of the year 2020 when the confinement due to this disease we live motivated the members to form a risky group. And although they have relatively little time in their career, their compositions have already led them to conquer large stages in the north of Mexico, but also in the United States, such as the United Palace in New York. In turn, the peculiar style of the risky group has led them to start accumulating a large number of fans. However, their compositions have also angered criminal organizations that disagree with the corridos they perform. Such is the case with the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, as they are a group originally from Sinaloa. Some of the lyrics of Grupo Arriesgado feature references to feats or characters that have stood out within the also called Pacific Cartel, which was founded by Ismael El Mayo Zambada and Joaquin El Chapo Guzman.
Violence resurfaces in the spotlight of regional Mexican music.
The terror then began when authorities found banners with threats towards the lead singer of Grupo Arriesgado. These warnings were followed by the firing of a gun while the band was doing an autograph signing. The group had to cancel the concert, which was scheduled for February 11, 2025 at Chevron Stadium.
Thus, with the firing of 5 shots and fear at the surface, what was intended came to an end. It would be a pleasant moment with their fans.
One of the donuts had direct threats towards Arturo Gonzalez and pointed toward the warlike corridos attributed to the Jalisco New Generation Cartel.
The members of the risky group were taken to a safe area, while their fans dispersed in the shopping center facilities.
In addition, emphasis was placed on the fact that the gunshots at the autograph signing were a warning and that the next attack would be even worse. The same day, another threat also appeared, written accompanied by a wreath of flowers outside a radio station. The warning message included phrases such as,
"This place has an owner. We are not common. That's why we didn't kill you. It was a warning."
And despite the threats, the warlike singer, who was threatened with death, was annoyed at not having the support of the members and friends to continue with the concert, downplaying the seriousness of the events. In turn, the threats put Risky Group on the map, to the extent that even President Andres Manuel López Obrador mentioned them in his traditional conference, morning assuring that in Mexico they are not going to ban narco corridos.
His face appeared in advertisements launched from a plane in Culiacan.
And in the case of Peso Pluma, the singer I believe most famous of this narco genre, well, it seems that so far he has only been escaping the danger of his actions, but with death following him very closely.
In September 2023, Peso Pluma canceled his Tijuana performance after receiving death threats.
In 2023, Peso Pluma was forced to cancel a show in the border city of Tijuana after receiving threats from a rival of the Sinaloa cartel. The mentors warned him that attending would be his final performance.
In addition to having several themes where he alludes to the Chapiza, he performs a song dedicated to one of the alleged leaders of the Gulf Cartel.
The banner said,
"This is for you. Featherweight, refrain from showing up on October 14th because it will be your last performance for being disrespectful and loose-tongued. You show up and we're going to break you, your mother."
On the other hand, Featherweight's fans asked him to cancel or postpone his concert due to a possible attack. However, the artist said he would not stop and would continue his United States tour. Thus, in the face of these threats, the Tijuana City Hall completely banned the performance of narco corridos. Indeed, Peso Pluma pays tribute in his songs to the exploits of the illegal substances kingpin, El Chapo Guzman. But the hatred, however, garnered from Chapo's rival cartels was not only due to his narco corridos. The artist was also linked to the criminal group of the Zapitos, when some leaflets were dropped from a plane over the municipality of Culiacan, state of Sinaloa, on the 9th of January of the year 2024. The distributed leaflets are a reflection of the growing tension in the region, where the public exposure of names has become a strategy in the conflict between the Chapitos and the Malisa.
They are leaflets that organized crime distributes. There they are displayed in a kind of, look closely like a yearbook, photos of several YouTubers.
On paper, 25 entertainment personalities, singers, YouTubers, and influencers, among those also the regional music singer. They were mentioned as people linked to this criminal group, described as close collaborators, financiers, and money launderers.
Eliminated. This is very Squid Game. Is this really scary? So far, neither the authorities nor those implicated.
They also urged the public to stop consuming content produced by these creators. The United States government is actively investigating Peso Pluma due to suspicions of his ties to the Sinaloa cartel. That in turn, the singer should not take these threats lightly because the warnings are true. 4 of the people on the list were marked with the word eliminated after their lives were taken away. And if you're not very informed about this case, you can check it out on my channel. Those crossed out included Juan Carlos, alias El Chilango, who died in October 2019, and Miguel Vivanco, alias El Jasper, who passed away in November 2024. Adrian Antonio Lopez Iribe, brother of Compa Cameron, who was killed on December 13 of the year 2024. And Leobardo Aispuro, alias El Gordo, Peruzzi, who was murdered on December 9 of the year 2024. And these are just some of the recent threats directed at performers of regional Mexican music. However, there are other artists who were not so lucky, whose crimes remain shrouded in mystery and speculation, with suspicion that they were the work of organized crime. The most shocking case occurred on May 16, 1992, when the promising career of singer Chalino Sanchez was cut short by 2 bullets that went through his head. His body was found with limbs tied near a water channel that led to a road in Culiacan, Sinaloa. His case became widely known because at his last concert, a day before being found lifeless, the singer received an enigmatic note from his assistant. This gesture caused a noticeable change in his attitude and appearance, which led to speculations about a possible death threat. But did organized crime warn him not to perform that night? That anyway, violence against artists highlights how organized crime has expanded its control beyond its traditional activities. Fear has become a new promoter in regional Mexican music, and what was once a simple concert tour today is a survival of the fittest game.
Will this be enough with everything they have been doing in Sinaloa, bringing in more elements? And we keep seeing the same images of constant violence every day?
Regional Mexican music has entered a relative golden age, as younger musicians like Natanael Cano and Peso Pluma have mixed the classic style with other genres like trap. In the last 5 years, the streaming of Mexican music has grown 400% on Spotify. And in 2023, Peso Pluma surpassed Taylor Swift as the artist with the most presence on YouTube. These types of artists have long faced harsh criticism from authorities and threats from drug trafficking groups. Those who influence the music industry and determine who can perform on stage and who cannot. Which in turn would not surprise us if some of those named in this video end their career when the threats from the cartels become reality. And we can't generalize, but if they do, these artists serve them as money launderers, they make them famous, they make them big. Also, they can take their life away. Don't forget the main channel, Many More Mysteries, where videos are posted on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.